The architects had ruled the Orion Arm for 17,000 years. Commander Sarah Chen studied the holographic display aboard the UNSC Prometheus, watching the massive structure materialize from quantum foam, a feat that defied every law of physics humanity had discovered. The architect vessel was a cathedral of impossible geometry, its surfaces shifting between dimensions that human eyes couldn't fully perceive. "They're hailing us," Lieutenant Park reported, his voice tight with barely concealed fear. "Audio only." The voice that filled the bridge wasn't sound. It was pure thought, cascading directly into their neural cortices. Every species in the known galaxy heard it the same way, in whatever language they understood. "Insignificant organisms, you have entered sacred space. Withdraw or be unmade." Chen's jaw tightened. For millennia, the architects had held themselves above all other life. They manipulated space-time itself, built megastructures that dwarfed stars, and casually erased civilizations that displeased them. The Kilrathi had worshipped them. The Vexhan had built temples across 1,000 worlds in their honor. Even the proud Terrellians had bowed. But humanity had made a different choice. "Negative," Chen replied calmly. "This system belongs to the Deneb colony. 68 million human civilians live on the 4th planet. We're not leaving." The temperature on the bridge dropped 15 degrees in an instant, a casual display of power. Frost crystallized on the view screens. "You dare refuse? We have witnessed the rise and fall of empires while your species still dwelt in caves. We have shaped reality itself. What are you? But fleeting sparks in an endless night?" Chen allowed herself a cold smile. "We're the species that asked, why?" For 3 centuries, while other races built shrines, humanity had built laboratories. While others accepted the architect's supremacy as divine mandate, human scientists had studied, measured, and analyzed. They had observed the quantum signatures of architect technology, mapped the gravitational distortions of their ships, collected radiation samples from their megastructures. And slowly, painstakingly, humanity had decoded the fundamental truth. The architects weren't gods. They were simply an old species that had discovered physics humanity hadn't yet. "Tactical," Chen ordered. "Deploy the Eisenstein array." Across local space, 47 human vessels dropped their stealth fields simultaneously. Each ship was small, almost insignificant compared to the architect Leviathan, but collectively, they formed a precisely calculated geometric pattern, a 3-dimensional lattice that enclosed the architect vessel completely. "Pathetic. Your weapons cannot—" The architect's transmission cut off mid-sentence as the array activated. Dr. Marcus Webb had spent 20 years developing the theoretical framework. The architects manipulated space-time using exotic matter with negative mass. Specifically, they exploited the Casimir effect on a massive scale. But every action had an equal and opposite reaction. The Eisenstein array generated a counter field, a precisely tuned quantum interference pattern that canceled the architect's space-time manipulation at the Planck scale. The cathedral ship flickered. Its impossible angles collapsed into simple Euclidean geometry. The dimensional shifts ceased. For the first time in recorded history, an architect vessel existed in normal space-time. "Target their power matrix," Chen commanded. "Kinetic impactors only. Let's see what they're made of without their tricks." The Prometheus launched a spread of tungsten penetrators, dumb weapons, crude by galactic standards, but traveling at 0.3 C. Without their space-time shields, the architect's hull was just matter, exotic matter, certainly, but still bound by conventional physics. The impacts registered across the sensor grid. Armor plating vaporized, atmosphere vented into space. The ship shuddered. "Impossible!" The thought voice was different now, no longer imperious but stunned. "How do you know our secrets? We shared our knowledge with no one." "You didn't have to," Chen replied. We figured it out ourselves. That's what humans do. We observe, we test, we learn. You're not magical. You're not divine. You're just old. The architect vessel tried to initiate an emergency jump, but the Eisenstein array held firm. Desperate now, they attempted to redirect power to weapons, particle beams that could scour planets, gravitational lances that could collapse stars. But Chen had anticipated this too. The moment weapon systems powered up, human vessels launched EMP mines calibrated to the specific electromagnetic frequencies of architect technology. The mines detonated in a carefully orchestrated sequence, creating cascading feedback loops through the ship's power distribution network. The great vessel went dark. "Boarding teams, you are go," Chen transmitted. Marine dropships launched from the Prometheus and her sister ships. Within minutes, human soldiers, wearing suits specifically designed to operate in the non-Euclidean spaces the architects preferred, breached the hull and secured key sections of the ship. The architects themselves were surprisingly fragile once separated from their technology. They were crystalline beings, their bodies composed of exotic matter matrices that required constant quantum field manipulation to maintain coherence. In normal space-time, without their equipment, they were as vulnerable as anyone else. The war was brief but decisive. Humanity didn't seek to exterminate the architects. That would have made them no better than the tyrants they'd defeated. Instead, they dismantled the apparatus of divine rule. Human engineers and architect scientists worked together to develop stabilization technology that allowed the architects to exist comfortably in standard space-time. The sacred megastructures were open to researchers from all species. The secrets of advanced physics were shared freely. The galaxy changed. Species that had worshipped for millennia learned they could aspire instead. The Kilrathi built their first experimental quantum reactor. The Vexahan established a university system. The Terrellians, inspired by humanity's example, began their own age of scientific renaissance. On the bridge of the Prometheus, now orbiting the Deneb colony in peaceful patrol, Commander Chen reviewed the latest reports. The former architect supremacy had been reorganized as the Galactic Cooperative Research Institute. The beings once called gods now worked alongside their former subjects as colleagues and teachers. Lieutenant Park approached with a data pad. "Ma'am, we're receiving a transmission from the Institute. The architects want to share their dimensional manipulation technology. Complete specs, no restrictions." Chen nodded slowly. "Humanity spent centuries proving that we didn't need gods. Now maybe we can all prove we don't need masters either." She looked out at the stars, the same stars that had watched empires rise and fall, that had witnessed 17,000 years of unchallenged supremacy. But the universe wasn't done surprising anyone. Sometimes the greatest act of faith was refusing to have any, and sometimes the gods needed to be reminded that they were, in the end, mortal too. End.